back, everybody. So I've decided to do a series on the truth about the Democratic Party. And they have such a long history of being absolutely awful, racists, misogynists, and we're going to show that. But I'm going to break it up into a few different parts, and I'm going to set the stage initially with some little information about Obama and then how the Democratic Party started. So let's jump right into this. Obama set the stage for the Democratic Party to be the party of America last and to create a globalist society where America basically was the same as any other third world country. He renounced American exceptionalism. When he was elected, he engaged in a world apology tour for our American expansionist policies. He deliberately reduced America's power in the world. He shelved Bush's plans for a missile defense system in Poland and the Czech Republic. He allowed 2,000 Russian forces to enter Ukraine. That was the beginning of the end for the Ukrainians. He visited Cuba and he rewarded a dictatorial regime, opening up the ways for Cuba. Well, Russia lifted a ban on rockets and anti-missile systems to Iran, and Obama did nothing about it. Iran, remember Iran when they captured 10 of our sailors? And what did Obama do? He apologized. Well, Obama stopped the XL pipeline and said that it didn't serve America's interest, resulting then in our energy independence on foreign oil. Obama slashed defense spending, reducing our military capability to the numbers before 1940 is seen, prior to World War II. Meanwhile, China, Russia, they increased their military spending, becoming a military power that almost far exceeded ours. All of these policies and actions weakened America and emboldened radical Islam. Obama treated, Israeli security like it was just nothing of concern to him. And he didn't even visit Israel until the end of his second term, also snubbing Benjamin Netanyahu when he did come to America. And Obama bragged about interfering in Netanyahu's election, yet he had the nerve to orchestrate an interference in the 2016 election with Hillary Clinton. Well, this was the beginning of the end of America as the shining city on the hill. The Democratic Party says we empower people with information and we mobilize them to get involved. They claim to be the party of economic opportunity, social justice, and equality. Well, is that true? Let's see. Who founded the Democratic Party? In the early 19th century, Jefferson's party, the Democratic Republican Party, as it was called then, split. From that came the Democratic Party and a bit later the Republican Party. In the 1820s, the Democratic Party elected Andrew Jackson, a man that would uphold their principles. Jackson won by seizing the land of the American Indians, right, Native Americans. He massacred them. He burned their homes and villages. He violated treaties, and he sold the stolen land to white settlers in exchange for their votes. Well, the Republicans for a long time, fought Jackson's bill for Indian removal laws in the Senate. And you know who did that? It was Davy Crockett, a Republican representative from Tennessee. He called Democratic President Jackson's bill a wicked and unjust measure. Well, the Democrats passed it, Jackson signed it into law, and hence began the Trail of Tears and the beginning of the end for the Native Americans, really, in this country. Well, Jackson Democrats embraced another theft scheme, right? Slavery. Jackson owned hundreds of slaves on his Hermitage plantation where he grew cotton. Jackson participated in the slave trade actually to grow his own slave population. Over his lifetime, he owned over 300 slaves, whom he treated both with whippings and murder if one ran away. And the only times that his position was that he would treat them with any kind of decency was because he felt if a slave was happy, they worked harder. Well, he also raped. Besides stealing their efforts, he also raped many of the enslaved women. I mean, what is it about Democratic presidents and innocent young women? I don't know. You'll have to ask Bill Clinton about that one. Well, why did Democrats elect a president like Jackson? Because the party is racist through and through. Today's Democrats try to blame slavery on Southern Democrats, but Northern Democrats also protected slavery. Illinois Senator Stephen Douglas was an advocate of slavery, and he actually envisioned slavery lasting forever and spreading worldwide. Something about those from Illinois in the Chicago area, right? And we'll see more about that. Well, the Republican Party was born with one single overriding purpose: to end slavery. Right, that's the truth. In 1856, Republican Senator Charles Sumner vehemently denounced slavery. Democratic Congressman Preston Brooks nearly beat him to death on the House floor with a cane. Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, said on his campaign tour that Democrats support slavery while we Republicans oppose it. Democratic propaganda says the Civil War was the South versus the North, and the South wanting to own slaves and the North not, when in truth it was really about Democrats versus Republicans. Because at the time of the Civil War, not one Republican owned slaves. The Civil War was fought, so many men injured and died to abolish slavery. And we'll see that that did happen. After the Civil War, we had the abolition of slavery, and they hated Lincoln so much for that they murdered him. They killed Abraham Lincoln. Well, part two, the Democratic Party, is post-Civil War and the creation of the KKK and Jim Crow, both Democratic policies. We'll hear about that next. Stay tuned.